lot. I mean, Red Hill used to be a school. Used to be Red Hill in Red Hill school.
Right.
Used to be a school there. All these used to be houses all the way down on both sides.
They'd be back-to-back houses,
yes,
were they?
Yeah.
Ah.
Back-to-back houses.
And this were, what, a pub here? What do you say, a pub here?
Yeah, further down, just here.
Oh, just here, that?
Yeah, it used to be Tommy Burns.
Not there, the pub here. Can't remember the name of the pub. Tommy Burns.
Tommy Burns, now. He was a pub. And he used to do turns.
Did he?
Yeah, he used to turn and dressed up as women. And we used to come and watch him. Get dressed. Roundabout this ring with here.
Aye.
Yeah, boxing ring with here.
And what did they do? Have contests then, didn't they? Aye.
Can you remember it?
Yeah.
How old are you now?
I'm 63.
And how long are we going back?
Well,
Now then, I was about, well, I was born in this street, and it were here then.
so you'd be, what, 8 or 10 years old, would
Yeah.
you be? When you say you used to play in there, didn't you?
Yeah.
In boxing ring?
Yeah, I used to go down and play in boxing ring.
Best of 3 rounds, eh?
Mrs. Frost. But me maiden were with Collins.
Which school did you go to?
St. Vincent's.
You go to church?
Yeah,
Which one?
St. Vincent's.
And where are you living now?
On Edward Street flats.
What do you think of Sheffield these days?
All right, where we are in Europe.
Do you prefer it these days to old days?
No, old days. Old days.
You're not with yourself?
No.
Ah.
What now?
Right, George, we'll walk up to it.
Are they filming?
Yeah. What was this place, Joe?
These are little handfuls here. You see, in some of them still, there's remains of old villas, or what have you. Life's a bit too bad in here, but there still remains of old villas, and see 'em, and hearth, and that's his bush, where he would quench his stuff. This is where they did, all these are a row of little hand forges.
That's his arm. When were the last used, George, you know?
Oh. Mind you, having said that, if someone got and I was once he left, can they see in here?
Yeah.
Which hearth here and
Yeah.
Bella's.
Yeah.
And that's where another hearth there, see they?
This is where they used to forge?
Ah.
You don't know what firm this used to be then, George?
It still is at John Petty here.
Is it?
And there were signs outside.
Yeah.
I would have thought it would have been that if you were.
So it's all disused now, apart from him using it as a one-man band virtually?
Ah, from what I can see, I mean, I can see there's no sign of life, is there?
Oh, no.
Oh. I suppose we was all the film, though.
3 hours.
All these little yards were built up right narrow.
Oh, ah.
Who is it? Go in here, not take him in here. We'll go in. Sorry to give you the draft. But this is chap I was telling you about. Is it alright we do it on for a bit like?
Tell me, how long have
1938.
And you work on your own?
I do now. Yeah, when I started there were about 6 of us.
And what are you making?
The steel stamp,
Ah.
character, a letter with an N. I need a 1/8 size. The one in shapes.
So you've not thought of taking on any job creation? Good God, George. Aberdeen Hamlet.
He's only playing that because it's Monday.
This is a craftsman. Eh?
That's right. Now let me just come out.
We're going to do it happening. Do you want to do it happening? What am I talking?
Yeah, I'm getting warm now.
How did you first start it then, this?
Well, my uncle owned it. Well, my uncle's father owned it. And when I left school, I came from me and Joe. He wanted me, I wanted a job for there, so I started here. And I was using other hammer, this side of hammer, striking, what they call striking, you see.
But I never thought they'd do you some lighter sort of work, didn't they?
I always thought I was a good pack it in and then listen, but I've always stuck it out. These are only small ones, these. I do a lot.
You use bigger hammers than that, yeah?
Oh, yeah. These were big ones.
Oh, good God.
And these are just small ones, these. Yeah.
That's it, Stephen, and I do too.
Well, if
We're about forging them.
Good God.
I mean, what shape it
I know.
That's forged just same as them.
Different sort of.
There's some hammer good.
Right.
And how long have you been in these particular premises?
Since 1930. Well, I've been here since 1938, but they moved here in 1914. When they first started.
Now surely you're doing this, but wouldn't there be a sort of why hasn't modern technology taken over?
Well, they have in a way, you see, they have hammers. And
They stamp them out?
They do them under hammers. Put them under hammers.
But why are you better than them then?
Well, they've got to have such a quantity. You see, they keep hammers going to make dies. You see, that's what it is. You don't pay that.
So if they want a small quantity, they can come to you?
Oh, well, what they call small quantity will last me a month. You see, that's where
And would you say you've got plenty of work on?
they have now.
Good.
Government contracts, actually. It's only government contracts, you see, now, because all other stuff, they've all gone for machine marks. You see, little bits of steel, they fit in machine. They might cost them about 100 quid to have one made,
Yeah.
but it's mass produced like that. And it's
Well,
all
I think it's wonderful to see today. I know you don't, because you do your job, but I think it's wonderful today to see these crafts being done
Yeah.
on an anvil there that must be 100 years old.
Oh, it must be. Come here. Well, we started there for 1880.
1880.
Yeah, so...
What, under Stansfield?
On the Stanfield, yeah. I'm not Stanfield's now, you see.
Yeah. And who's to follow on then when you've gone?
Nobody.
So it's gone then?
Nobody have it.
AJ's right.
See, I've only daughters, I've no sons.
Well, can you bring her into it? Daughter. I'm going to get a pan out away from him when it starts again. Wonderful, George.
I know they like it. Right.
Yeah. What's his name, George?
Alan Drabble, isn't it?
Drabble, that's it.
Alan Drabble.
That's what he was when I first started.
That's one you used when you first started.
I was at this side at angle, like that.
Oh,
And he got
God.
on the other side.
And what were you knocking out with them then?
These what I'm doing, I'm to do my own now.
Haven't you found in years that arms have lengthened a bit?
A little shot here that might be interesting, looking outwards. Have a look what the things.
Look at it.
See these steel plates he had for running wagons on?
That's just what we're for.
So they wouldn't damage sets like.
Oh.
But I want you to look back here. Prices are not high.
Ah.
And I don't know what I noticed, but when we go out, I'll show you something that's a bit interesting about this path. Nothing here.
Oh, wow.
See where gate post used to be here? Big gate post. There was another one here.
Oh, wow.
Another gate post, see? That looks like it could be caretaker's house or something, doesn't it, here? This is new, isn't it, obviously?
Oh, I reckon it's... But this is all
right state, isn't it?
original, isn't it? Good God. When was this last used, George, you know?
No, but it's a shame, isn't it?
Oh, it's criminal. Grindstones set in.
Right. So when they got down to that size,
They're no
it's
good.
small to use. They start off about 4 foot diameter,
Yeah,
and as they go down, they started off using big blades and all that.
yeah.
But as stone got smaller, lighter trades took it like scissors, grinding scissors. And when they got down as small as that, they were no good.
So they set them all into...
So they used them for out, see?
Rather than throwing them away, they use them for paving. Oh, all these are grindstones here. And just recently been concreted over. Good God. Oh yeah, wonderful that.
You can't imagine it now, obviously, but in its day, this is how it was built, and it's one of the biggest cutlery factories in the world.
Was it?
Mm.
When would its heyday be, George?
Oh, its heyday would be in the late Victorian days, 1880s onwards. Earlier than that, it went back much earlier than that, 1850s, 1880s. But the other thing I want to say here, that elected at the end of the First World War, in memory, as it says, of the men who worked here fell in the First World War. This was a family firm. Once you were in peace, it was here for life.
And were they known as being good employers?
Very good employers, and you started here when you were 13, and most of them never retired. They didn't retire at 65, they just carried on working.
Did they?
Yeah, worked wherever they could because they loved it.
Yeah.
And this, well, it employed the finest tradesmen in the world. Their catalogue must have been a foot thick. Which the ocean
And they were known for
liners,
quality.
absolute first. Used to compete for pre-war. The Queen Mary held it, Mauritania, and I believe it's finished up in America, didn't it? SS America.
Well, there must have been hundreds employed here, George.
Oh, yeah.
Eh?
Aye.
Did they actually manufacture?
Fire department. Future portion of our work showing production of steel helmets, hot steel pressings, and stampings for liquid fire and gas shells. Submarines, flying airplanes. Oh, it's first one.
First, wow. Not second.
You produced all this for that?
We used to do that. See, that one, that's one of the original Dixon patterns, and I was going way back. It's pewter. It's all just pewter finish, that's it. It's sold abroad mostly in Switzerland.
What's that?
That's a Chippendale, that.
Chippendale.
That's what we call it, Chippendale. But that sort of pattern is we sold to Switzerland then. Bloke in Switzerland buys them.
Beautiful, aren't they?
You still make flasks and stuff?
What's the handles made of?
That one particular one's it's a plastic. That's a cheaper set we make. We do, but these are pewter, all pewter. That's one of the original sets as well, which is what they used to do originally. But it's a much softer material, but the base metal is more expensive. It's dearer than nickel, you know, but not as dear as silver. But it's more. It is expensive. But most of drinking mugs, I mean, that's an original way back pattern. That one, that was way back.
That's traditional, isn't it?
But I mean, they can get tankards in town in Sheffield, and they'll get 3 weight, same as that. You know, that's what they used to do way back 100 years ago. It's a tobacco jar.
Oh, it's a tobacco jar, is it?
Yeah, and there's no soldering on that. That's spun up from as discs. Oh wait, there's not one bit of soldering on it.
So even that knob is...
yeah, it's part of lid. And bottom base is just trapped in. The Dixons used to do that in various sizes for years, you know, it's what's going on.
I thought you were mashing tea.
Oh!
What is it you're doing there? Is it acid?
Cleaning? No, it's just a degreaser. And we partial gilt some things, you know, we gold plate partial.
Oh, I see, I see.
I thought I was rushing.
Oh, that would be better.
Show one of them screws, imagine.
See that? Gold. That end.
Oh, it's gilded middle, is it?
All that part there is gilded, see, so that's one of the
Stamps
latest
on
Stamper,
It's still stamped on it.
But see, Dexter gold, they don't get that with modern...
I'm just looking at these big tablespoons, serving spoons.
Yeah, that's another thing, you don't get them as deep like that. They've got the pattern and all
I
like
mean,
that.
one time just to measure.
It's silver plate at first, then it's topped off with this red
Wax or whatever.
coating. Then it's gold, it's hung into the gold vat, see, and gold plated that part. They're only fetching lacquer off.
James Dixon, the founder. And he was strict. I should imagine.
I would think so. He used to go train as a pewter
That way was all the original. From 1829.
All them arches are up window.
Yeah.
We've got a black keystone.
Yeah.
You see it?
Yeah.
Well, that's the original. All the ones like that is the original building.
I'm with you.
Caught you working.
Aye.
Happy Christmas.
Same to you, George.
That's all. Well, we might catch it, but first part of here.
Formed here and processed through this shop. There's only 2 men working like that.
Can you go through it for me and see how
It's
it's...
what machine that particular job is doing. He's just clipping.
How long have you been doing this?
about 19 years now.
Are you?
Yeah.
And this will be one of the original presses, I suppose, how it used to be done.
Yeah, I should imagine so, yeah.
Look to the bone, see?
Got some up there, bone.
You get rat tail now, you know what modern one you can buy. We sometimes we do sell another quality on it, a smaller, lesser quality on it. It's done in flat light and it's all done when they do bowl as well, but that's put on first, as you can see, and then it's bowled after.
So these are being put. There's no.
See, but intention, idea is, see, normally you've got to get that without any holler in here. You've got to get it smooth as well. See, that's the idea.
It's a good strand pattern, isn't it?
Yeah. Milo Dixon, one story he tells when he, many years ago, about a chap who was working with him. Don't you think we could do with a new press? You know? So he said, well, there's plenty of life left in that. He said, I can remember that when it was first in, when I was a lad, I was only 10. He said, and it was second hand then. So I should have to think how old this is.
What happens here, Gordon? Get down and show us what happens.
Standing here, that is the operating lever.
Yeah.
But they put a belt on it, so they work it with a foot, like that. And the old work in dive here, like that. And that features work patterns and angle tools.
Different patterns.
Oh, you know, and there's all full suite of each pattern. Because there's all that many different pieces in the sleeve. There's 38 pieces in the full sleeve.
I'm with you. Yeah.
You will learn from mustard spoon, mocha spoon, coffee spoon, teaspoon, American teaspoon, dessert spoon, soup spoon, tablespoon, serving spoon, soup ladle, sauce ladle, ladle.
At one time of day, all this lot.
And every pattern's got all them different flipping spoons.
Oh, the ones here they sent talking here. When it was the ones here they sent talking here. Don't say you sent talking here when all this lot of big going, every machine of big going here.
And every process virtually was done in it.
Everything from now to these rolls.
For rolling that out, see?
Is he a blank before it rolls?
What was this machine for?
Been done once.
It's what they call cross rolls. Cross rolling machine. You like that, then they split out to that. See, that's why idea. You pass it
I see, it
across.
supplies it out.
The rolls go that way and they go in through like that all the time.
Jesus, right.
That's just an annealing form. That's all.
I bet. But still used.
We use it, that's split now. See these pillars? They put them in to show building up to because it's that old. These old pillars. There's a machine in here. Which we make fork, spoon and fork from. They're all different thicknesses, see, for different size. It's like a teaspoon, as opposed to a salt label, you know, you go from one extreme to other, because of the thickness of material, you know, you've got to have different thicknesses. That's various thicknesses of what we've got. But what I wanted to show you, that's a really old guillotine, that. That, you'd never see, I'd actually believe it.
This is the top of these sheets.
You know, it's the first
Yeah. Good God. It's better than what Steve's got there.
These are rolls, what we all roll pewter on. We only buy ingots, so we roll it as soles. And it's done with that, look at that flywheel, look at the size of that.
You talk about Aberdeen Industrial Hamlet.
And that, when it's running,
working, Nolan? Oh no. They're all pewter like that, I think it.
Yeah. From a 1975 England.
And this is just how Dixon's used to work probably 100 years ago. Good God. Wonderful, isn't it?
Steam operated, but they are under air pressure, see, you know, from that big thing there now, it's fairly modern that, which is what drives them. But, and they work with levers, you see, these hammers are worked on this, pressure builds up in there, comes into that valve that's at the side, and that, pull this lever up and it lifts it, driven with that wheel, see, and then you like shove it back and hammer drops to stamp whatever you're stamping. This is even bigger, this one, down here.
It's got really melted tin and lead up at the top, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
You have two pits there, tin and lead
You're
pit.
thinning your lead, yeah.
Right. It's difficult to explain it. So if that die were in there, what they do, you're going to stamp that particular pattern. You run tin and tin, or first of all you do a lead one. A lead force, what they call a force. You put the beds in there, you build it up with clay round it, then you run molten lead and tin in there. Then you lower that onto it.
Yeah.
Now that's ribbed or it's gated. See?
Yeah.
And that picks up into that force. When it sets, you lift it off, so then you've got a force and a bed that fits it exactly. Then you stamp it down a bit to bed it in.
Yeah.
Then you put your metal in and bang, away you go. And that's how they do it.
Good Lord. And all
Now
these
that has to have got a force on. It's not being off. Now when they come to take it off, you just have to chisel it off. You know, and then they melt the lead and do it.
Well, this is a skill job, is it?
Especially on the big end.
Stampings here, right?
They're all like patterns.
These are stampings.
They're all patterns.
They've all been
They're
done
what's
here.
come out of them things.
See, they stamp it in two halves like that. That's a Queen Anne, see?
Yeah.
Stamp it in two halves. In a die, they have a die like that
Yeah.
to stamp that. When they get the two halves out, they clip that weird stuff and solder it together, and they've got a teapot body.
Good God.
All these are stamped. All been done on these.
It's placed in underneath that bed.
Yeah.
And you're going to stamp this octagonal, it's 8-sided, it's octagonal tray.
Yeah.
Out of nickel or silver or whatever you're going to do it on. Round this edge here, they build it up with clay. Proper ordinary clay.
Yeah.
And to about that height. Then you get a molten tin, and usually with a thing like this, they'd only have a force that came to there, say.
Yeah.
You know, they won't bother about that bit. So they'd run molten tin all round here, like that, when it would set in there. Then they lower that head onto that tin.
Yeah.
It squashes clay out of it. That's why they use clay, see, because it's goes. They leave it till it's almost set, you know, till it's going off, you know, just chilling. Then they lower that on and let it set. And then, of course, when they then pick that up, you know, through and it lifts it up, and of course it takes the force with it, because that is ribbed underneath. So now you've got a force fixed onto that is exactly, will bed straight into that. This is fastened in by these spigots at corners, various then they drop the hammer, bang it down so you to bed it on onto the die, and then they put a piece of metal in for stamping, smaller. They come down here when we need visitors. They are part of our group. We're in the same group as them, you see. Lancelot. Yeah.
Did you ever used to come down here, George, when you were working up?
Well, no, when I was a kid, I started at Cooper Brothers, and I used to add a lad a bit, and I probably have been, and what they're going to do with that, they're going to turn it into a technological campus, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think they're going to knock it
down. You know them stamps in there, what they got? Stamps. I saw them when they were taking them out, and they burnt them off rather than undo them.
Didn't they?
And scrapped them.
No.
Honestly, they burnt them off. They know what they got. They were too much trouble to undo bolts, and they just burnt them bounce.
And they said there were only stuff that could do it.
Straw.
To stand
I mean, if they banged it straight onto rock or concrete or what have you, obviously they'd shatter and bang and all sorts, so they had to have something.
That's before, that's after.
Oh, got you. Yeah.
This is the die here, and the die sinker would mark it out round a template, the outline. Then he'd start cutting, he'd rough it, as he called it, with a chisel, hammer and chisel. And with smaller chisels, he'd start cutting this outline in. And then with little punches and what they call traces, he would cut these in. All this pattern. Now, all this has got to be absolutely highly polished. No marks whatsoever. It's got to be done precisely to a depth to accommodate the metal. It's not got to be too deep or too shallow.
And how long were you doing this for, George, this kind of type of work?
44 years.
So just getting into the swing, then it was
started at 14 at 9 bob a week. 9 bob a week, 45p a week.
Was it recognised as one of the more skilled jobs?
I would say it is. No, he's a pal of mine this at Roy Island. He thinks he's the bloke for the MGM or something like it. He's just, you've never seen out like this.
Come on, we're doing some spinning, this is not to watch.
He's not on the parting. That's what I'm doing now. But we'll try to spin the pages.
So you want to film doing something like that? That's alright, that's okay.
What this? It's the same size here, but this is the old line here.
So what?
These bodies here, they've all been sold with their tankers.
Yeah, it's you see, when you're doing these jobs, to you, I mean, they seem no, and yet they are. They're very skilled jobs.
All those angles, castings. This shape handle will mould up.
Yeah.
Handling too hard.
That's your male and your female again, like we've been saying. Well, what I would call.
He pours this molten metal into here, and as soon as he pours it in, he throws it back out. Now watch him here. Now what's happened? Why have you done that?
So he's just made a skin rather than solid.
It's a hollow handle, that. How can you make a hollow handle like that? If it's not getting two, it can only be, what, 6 inches and 6 walls.
That one won't because it's got moles cold.
No, but I mean, it's thin like, isn't it, you know?
Reckon less than half a weight to a solid one.
Yeah, the same idea, the same
So
metal.
it's cost, yeah. And you fish about almost instantaneously.
Well, as more will get sort, you have to wait a little bit longer. Like.
Good God.
It's beautiful handles. I mean, if molds are good,
yeah.
You just scrape that thatch off and buff them and polish them, and that's it.
What about burning yourself? Do you get many burns?
I do. I can't carry on like there's no gloves on for long. I just can't see my glove.
See, these are all different.
See, if molds are not hot enough yet.
Marvellous.
That's the only time you get any accidents if there's damp in molds and if they explode. That's metal when they explode up.
Get a tin shampoo.
Well, what happens if you taste the steam instantly? There's no way for it to go apart from blow out.
I used to make things right.
Did you?
Always hard.
Darsinker.
Yeah, I was hard until I didn't.
And how long have you been doing this?
This particular job, not long, 4 or 5 years. My own job, 16 years.
Well, this is not part of the spinner's job, this.
We don't have it now
Separate job.
because there ain't enough work to employ somebody just to do that.
What's it? Pewter, is it? What is it? Tin and...
Tin, 94% tin, is it? 3%? Finish your one off.
And what's that doing?
What? Join in a minute. The snuff box ring.
All right. Where the marches are?
How do you get into that yet? Just go round back.
A caretaker lives there, right on the side of the work.
But now there's a caster works here. You know, it's a brass pounder, like brass caster. It tells you underneath.
That's acid there, pumping away in that thing there. 1886 when they were produced in this factory.
Yeah, they were manufactured, it says, Royals Patent Self-Pourer. Manufactured by James Dixon from Sheffield.
That's where we come down in this factory.
It looks like bloody M1 here, doesn't it?
Where?
That's where we come down here and turn into this archway, isn't it?
Oh, it does. That'd be the license. And all these cabinets are set in Titwell?
They're built in. Have a look. And this were done in 1829.
And there's some really early pieces here then.
No, not in there. In there, normal standard stuff we sell.
Oh, yeah.
There is here, there's some antiques in here.
At one time they'd have been crammed with stuff leaves, weren't they?
They're antique, they're original.
I tell you what, like a sink up to the knees in carpet.
I think that's fairly modern.
Eh? You good quality.
Can't be down a bit,
Here's a place setting for the right, we'll have us.
Oh, look at that. If I saw that, she'd go crackers.
They'll be able to tell us how much they need when they get back.
That's a very...
They used to make Grand National trophies.
As I said, don't put that stainless steel crap up front of...
I was telling Roy about Blue Ribbon and all, didn't they?
Oh, they did that. Grand National 65, they did that.
Oh, the cup?
Ah, Grand National Trophy, that's another one. They were different every year, you see, under Mirabel Topham.
Oh, wow. Look at that one. Oh, isn't it wonderful? Look here.
These are powder glass. They were. Oh, these might not be in here, because he puts all sorts of junk in here, but that's basically what...
Are they gold plated then underneath?
No, it's brass, that.
Is that brass?
But that's all brass, it's a Colt Walker flask. It's on a spring loaded, it's a different pattern. There's no trigger to that, and that's a ball chamber.
Just let him get a view on it, it's only got a... it's a different...
There's 5 settings on that and all in here.
For quantity of powder, is it
that goes in,
And are they still sold today?
Well, we've got order for 350. Them US
Oil buckles.
Oil, you know, for guns. You have a oil, you know, feather on. But they turned up front flat then.
Do they?
Old Pewter Smith does that.
Well, it's a feather that's in it.
No.
It used to be...
it's what they call a feather. No, it's not a feather, but it's a piece of metal flattened. But when they take it out, there's oil on it, and they can put it
whenever you want on
gun. Wipe a bit on. But we do about 14 different powder flasks with all different nozzle settings, you know. US Historical Society's had a lot of that liquor and silver plated, which they used to do. But they used to make all these these bullet making machines and all sorts here. They used to make them here. Way back.
Some ability in this place.
Yes, Aga Khan. The original Aga Khan came here. In 18 summer, Tammy, with household cavalry at Lockcombe.
Did they? Just the way
There's pictures of somewhere.
Weight to gold.
Gold, weren't it?
Diamond.
In one of these books here, somewhere, there's a scrapbook, one of them, and this picture when Aga Khan were here.
Well, Gordon, I'll tell you this, it's a privilege like to see you. Then what?
These journals, 1858. No, whatever they were bought, they used to purchase them for, but that says that, don't they? Are they original?
About Dixon's, isn't it, eh?
Well, they used to have it, you know, the art journal.
What sort of... Oh, that's one there. Does it lay on its back, that part there? That one at back?
It sits back, something at sort of.
And there's a cavity at, well, the front, I don't know that.
I don't know it was made here, that.
That's the original Dixon's teapot. One of them. One of them.
It's a melon set, but it's silver plated as well. It's silver plated pewter, which is what Dixon's used to do as well. But it pivots on that stand.
And
this part here.
This pivots up to that. You know,
and that's still being produced today?
Today, yes.
This part here, original part of building, weren't it?
That's right, yeah. That's why all these cabinets are built in.
I want to show you when we get downstairs, because I remember there's a big old gateway, doorway here, isn't there?
Yeah.
Stone doorway.
That's what main entrance.
That's what I'm thinking.
In them days.
I see it, isn't it?
These are spirit flasks and snuff boxes which are still produced today.
Yeah. That's only a small selection on them, that.
But they're original guys.
No, then. Or here. Down at this.
This is Gordon, by the way, production manager. Did it mention that?
That is the original Israel Harvey box, because engraved on it.
Israel?
No, this is what they call the chap. Captain Israel Harvey, read what it says.
It says, Israel Harvey, 1st Rifle Brigade, Waterloo, June the 18th, 1815.
And what was that
That's
then?
the original.
What was it?
Well, this box,
It's
he
a
must
cap
have
box.
used it.
It was a cap box. I've got to use caps for the guns,
Yeah.
pistols.
And that was used in Waterloo?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
used it there.
And made here?
It must have been.
Yes, it was, see. James Dixon and Son.
That's a treasure.
We still make that box now, but that's the original.
Mm.
That's
That's
the one.
171 years old, isn't it?
Yeah, that one.
Well, it will be in June.
And that pack, we still got die for that.
Great
Still
this
use
would be
it
what
same
we
die.
call the Great Exhibition of 1851.
Yeah. That's the original medal.
That's the original medal that was presented to Dixon's for quality.
It's two for some hotels. James Dixon's class 13.
Class 13, well you can see there'll be various
That's class
classes
12
for...
and 13. No, they did two. They've won two in that. But they got some first part.
What's that gone?
It says on it 1853, and April 1855.
Napoleon?
Napoleon III, Emperor. I don't know just what it's for. Palais de l'Industrie, so that's
Palace of Industry, isn't it?
That must have been some 1850, round about the same time, but that's Napoleon III medal. He must have been on throne then.
Trafalgar was 1805. I should know, I was here.
Oh, that had to be made at the same time as Trafalgar.
Really good to see. Well, he was a one-man band. He was a goldsmith, silversmith, chaser. He could design buildings. He worked a long time building fortifications. He was a great lover of his period, and he turned out workmanship like this.
One of 6,030 spoons, 90 spoons, made in 3 days by James Dixon and Sons for Lord Wolseley's army in Egypt in 1884. Taken from the dervishes at the Battle of Toski in 1889 and presented to James J.W. Dixon by Clyde d'Aguilar, Lieutenant 17th Lancers, 1890.
Can you just get a shot on on that printing?
You get it a year after.
But it's like good enough.
It will be in a minute because I'm going to go into the microphone. That's the actual spoon. What, that spoon?
That's what that says.
Look at this for craftsmanship.
Oh, that's all
This is modern and all.
isn't it?
But these are all copies of... Ooh.
Benvenuto Torcellini.
Yeah, he was he was one of the best ones.
Well, 1813's date.
Does it give you prices as well?
It gives you prices, but I can't, to goods. £10.17 and box 6 shilling, £11 3 shillings.
This is, look at this one here, this is interesting.
Mr. James C. Nielsen of Boston in America, 1815 June, to goods. I don't know what that is, £29.13. Ditto, £50 2 and 10 pence. 1916. See, that was his account, weren't it? That's James. Isn't it? Poland. No, I'm watching nearly everyone now. I've got these plates.
For printing on.
And everyone is in perfect fine detail like that. That happens to be a trait. And there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds.
And what they used for?
For printing catalogues.
They used to make their own catalogues up, see? Look at that, that's one of them trophies. But imagine, that had got to be hand engraved and etched or whatever they did. How did they do it?
Have you got one that's a bit plainer there? I think you see,
They lay them out in a page, separate each one.
Oh, but right there. That's better. What is that thing? That's going
I don't
in
know,
there?
it's a dish with a burner underneath. I don't know what exactly it is. Well, and cut, it must have been.
Oh yes, to be hand engraved, he's gone now, and you know, shaped, yeah?
There's somebody employed engraving there just to put it in like a
Good job we're not making the original of this one, isn't it?
I've shown it to him. He's seen it.
There's the same love goes into these as what they did in those.
Right, but he inscribed it with a bayonet, so I understand that otherwise. On the bottom.
How long have you worked here? Fortnight?
63 this year.
You just get into it now then.
What? Ah, 63 years. 1923. Oh, Imperial Tobacco Company have got quite a few photographs in their catalogue.
What is your name, sir?
Toyne, T-O-Y-N-E, Jack.
So you've worked here a lifetime?
Right, I should imagine so, 63 years. 64 in April. Right.
Are you being producing snuff boxes all the time?
No, majority of flasks, spirit flasks. Of course, the Prohibition years were absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Because we made not one, we made thousands for the States. All sorts and all sizes. Up to, I've made as many as 100 at a gallon.
100?
At a time. Fitted them under the seats at a Cadillac. Gallon flasks, we made quite a lot of gallons.
Well, who's going to take over when you finish here then?
Young Paul.
Young Paul?
I think she is.
He's a long way to go yet, isn't he?
I'm afraid so. Yes, typical of the young people of today, you know.
No,
You can't tell them no, and that's it.
And discipline is required.
No, I can't tell them anything.
But if you can't tell them, I won't bother trying.
Well, I mean, yeah, wait until they just drag and then I'll come out, you know. That's the only way they learn while they when they run up against it.
Yeah.
See, Wednesday match is off, Gordon.
Is it?
You know.
How are you doing there then, George?
What's that rocket doing? Overseer. Gordon, you're never talking cattle.
Yeah. from town.
He worked here when he worked at mine. Bucky shop.
It's a high page, that is.
Well, it's one of most skilled higher end. We aren't that public on the thing. We track it between wheel and work. It's hard work and all stood up.
And that's how it's always been done.
Go on. I'm going to get books like that, all for a purpose. Depends what they're doing, see. You know, they get into all nooks and crannies at everything they do. And they do it.
How long have you been doing it?
Too long, Johnny, too long.
Yeah, if you get in here, do you cough it up, you know? Pass it through it.
I'll get a bit of snuff, blow it down.
I don't think, apparently, sorry to say, it can't hurt you, this can it? Have a walk, go on, John.
It looks a mess from our side, we all look
I tell you where they did do a painting of it, looking along from Bridge. Where's Bridge? Which river?
That's road, it's down
Well, looking along, and there's Dixon's here, and Alfred Beckett's
the other side. Did it come out all right?
Oh, that's all the same way, that. And,
Oh, this garden.
Oh, it's old engineers drill. Took it out. In fact, he's bought it in corner, he left it, he never bothered.
you want me sitting here like I sat in the leaves of mine?
Unless the pies are playing up.
Not come along, yeah. It's a bit like you go. This side of that.
Either. Only if his piles are playing up, we're knackered.
What's the matter to do?
The thinker. Hey? No good.
That word but I've changed it. I'm going to say, what did you? Yeah. No, it's all more or less video like that. But I had to do that one. I've got some tanks, steel tanks, and I used them. Made it because Spike's inspector would fucking.
Well, when I was at Culture Brothers, while we were in yard there,
Do they come round much, factory inspectors? Do they?
well, look how it's worn there, silly. See what I mean about them? See, there's hours.
Yeah.
Hours in them cobbles, isn't there? Hey,
Generation after generation.
that one we've been